And we begin with the latest headlines surrounding the coronavirus. The state announcing its latest numbers. There are now 3,240 cases of coronavirus here in Massachusetts. They say there have been 35 deaths. The House gives the okay to a $2.2 trillion stimulus package to bail out the economy, and the president has signed it. Also, Governor Baker extended the state's tax filing deadline. He also mandated that any travelers coming into the state as of today need to self-quarantine for 14 days. Welcome to Western Mass News at 6. I'm Chris Pisano. Earlier this week, it was announced that schools in Massachusetts will remain closed through May 4th at the earliest. Now, with so many kids at home, we're digging deeper on how mental health professionals are working to ensure children aren't being abused. Western Mass News reporter Audrey Russo joins us live in Springfield with more. Audrey?
According to numbers from the U.S. government, instances of child abuse are most often reported by education personnel. Because children are no longer coming into daily contact with teachers and school staff, local clinicians and social workers are using different tactics to make sure kids are being kept safe.
I would say that there is not 100% guarantee that any child abuse is not going on.
When Gandara Center clinician Ruth Trujillo Acosta heard schools were closing due to coronavirus concerns, she had some concerns of her own.
Not only for the children, but also for the mothers or the parents who are the victims of domestic violence.
Trujillo Acosta works regularly with children who have been in abusive and traumatic situations. Because much of her therapy work is virtual right now, she used the same means to explain to Western Mass News how she keeps an eye on her kids.
We can see the children, we can see the environment, we can see the surroundings.
She's also found other methods to maintain the clinician-patient privacy they can no longer have in a shared office space.
We try to ask the parents if it's okay for them to use like earphones, and then we have a one-on-one connection with the children in terms of how you feel sad, and then we are able to ask questions that can lead us to see if everything is okay in the household.
And those children's parents also can ask for help discreetly if they too are victims of abuse.
The abuser might be in the same room, so we are trained to ask questions that can give us like some kind of leadway in terms of if everything is fine or not.
Though Trujillo Acosta admits it's not the ideal situation for spotting possible abuse, she's remaining committed to using whatever ways she can to keep children safe, even the ones she doesn't see on a regular basis.
Even if the other children are not our clients, we're trying to develop activities that include those families, those siblings, as long as they can be part of the conversation.
The Gandara Center also has food and educational resources available for parents, and they also have help for adults who might need it. We'll have their number on our website, westernmassnews.com. Live in Springfield, Audrey Russo for Western Mass News.
Audrey, thank you for that live report. Springfield's Mayor Dominic Sarno announcing 3 important developments as the city responds to the coronavirus pandemic. Western Mass News reporter Leon Purvis continues our team coverage tonight live in Springfield with the latest on this story. Leon.
Chris, the mayor is asking the National Guard for assistance, requesting state aid, and making accommodations for the homeless right here on Worthington Street. Friday afternoon, Mayor Dominic Sarno announced tents will go up for the homeless. They will go across from the Friends of the Homeless on Worthington Street. It will be used as a holding area for the homeless.
We have to be cognizant this is a very vulnerable population, and we have to make sure that, as we've done before, they're properly treated, and we're able to make sure that we're able to contain and isolate any situations that might arise.
Mayor Sarno is also asking MEMA for 75 National Guardsmen and women to come into Springfield next week, and so they can step in as Springfield police officers are getting checked for COVID-19. This comes after one officer tested positive for the virus.
We have about 20 officers that are either a dozen or about waiting test results. I have a few officers who are self-quarantined because they have come into contact with someone who is sick. I have one positive, tests that came back. He is doing fine. He's recovering at home.
And the mayor says he has requested an additional $500,000 from the state to assist restaurants and small businesses.
We want to try to bring immediate assistance to our restaurants and small businesses, whether it's a takeout now or small business, that they can keep their employees going and be ready once we defeat, and we will defeat this COVID-19 coronavirus. Be ready to rock and roll again.
We gotta go.
Mayor Sarno said that he wanted to make these announcements today because he did not want to wait till Monday when he gives his coronavirus update. Live in Springfield, Leon Purvis, Western Mass News.
Leon, thank you for that live report. Governor Charlie Baker announced earlier this afternoon new online medical efforts to help amidst the coronavirus pandemic. Under these new initiatives, telehealth will now be available to all patients. This will help individuals get medical help without stepping outside. The governor also announced the launch of a new website that'll help residents receive medical guidance from the comfort of their own homes.
Buoy Health's tool is free for Massachusetts residents. First, users will be asked a series of questions to complete a risk assessment interview. When a user screens positive for COVID-19 symptoms or risk factors, they'll be directed to the most appropriate resources based on their answers. If a user indicates they're experiencing symptoms or risk factors that are closely associated with those of COVID-19, they'll be directed to other resources.
In addition, the governor is taking extra steps to bring helping hands in the fight against COVID-19. The administration is working on bringing back doctors and nurses who've retired and are in good standing health. And the Board of Registration in Medicine is working on giving medical school graduates who match a specific criteria an emergency 90-day license to practice amidst the pandemic. More communities providing updates on new cases today. In West Springfield, they're confirming 4 new positive COVID-19 cases since yesterday, bringing the total there to 6. The Soldiers Home in Holyoke confirming to Western Mass News a number of residents and 1 employee have tested positive there for COVID-19. The residents are isolated and the employee is now in quarantine. Going county by county, here's a quick look at cases across the state. The state saying there are now 3,240 cases of the coronavirus. Middlesex County has the most at 685. In Western Mass, Hamden County is now at 90 cases, Hampshire County 20, Franklin County has 24, and Berkshire County has 105. Now to a story you'll see only here on Western Mass News. Some viewers reaching out to us sharing pictures of used latex gloves throughout several parking lots in Springfield. Western Mass News reporter Lindsay Kane joins us live with more on this story. Lindsay.
City officials say not only is this an environmental issue, but it's also a health issue for city residents.
Everywhere you go, you look down and you see a rubber glove.
Some Western Mass News viewers sharing their frustrations over finding used latex gloves scattered on the ground throughout the city of Springfield.
I think it's really disgusting to be putting something on to prevent corona and you're just throwing it on the ground for the next person. I get very angry at people because things that you use to prevent something should be properly disposed of and not just thrown away for someone else to catch up.
We drove around Indian Orchard to see just how many gloves we could find, and it only took minutes for us to find at least 10.
I've seen them everywhere. Anybody that's been out to the supermarkets, you see them all over the floor, in the shopping carts, nowhere near the trash, right? There's people are just throwing them everywhere.
City Councilor Orlando Ramos tells Western Mass News that this problem is beyond frustrating.
And, it's not only an environmental concern, it's also a health concern. It's a very selfish thing to do. People may think that they're protecting themselves by wearing gloves while they're shopping, but they may be putting others at risk by not disposing of them properly. Someone's going to have to pick those up.
He says instead of littering and putting others at risk, to be more cognizant of the community.
If you're taking the time to protect yourself from being exposed to the virus, you also have to think about others. Think about other people and think about each other, and that's how we're going to get through this.
If you see anything like this, you're asked to contact the Springfield Department of Public Works. Live in Springfield, Lindsay Kane, Western Mass News.
Lindsay, thanks for that live report. Good information there. And coming up here on Western Mass News, we're getting answers on what to expect when you're expecting during the coronavirus pandemic.
We're making sure that our staff, of course, have gloves and masks and of course, have their social distance between each other so that we can be mindful of our health and the community.
And later, what precautions food banks are taking while still providing services amidst this pandemic. Jacob?
And what a day it has been. Highs reaching into the low 60s. We're going to repeat the mild conditions into tomorrow, but also tracking a few showers. The details on that right after the break.